Oh, hello and welcome to New Frontier, the newly named AI for e-commerce podcast with Max and Joe. Joe, how are you? Good morning.
I'm all right, Max. I have to tell you, the New Frontier name is it's definitely a downgrade from our last version, which was Joe and Max's awesome AI podcast. I mean, what happened? Was it ChatGPT that advised you
Well,
so illy?
the only kind of guardrail on the name was that it can't sound like your newsletter because they're separate, and your newsletter is called AI for e-commerce or what's something which basically encapsulates everything that I wanted to name it. So I had to go a little bit creative, but there we
It's
go.
very creative. Yes,
I
fine.
didn't actually use ChatGPT. I am someone a bit unlike I think a lot of this community who don't like using ChatGPT for ideas. I don't like doing it because my view on it all is like ChatGPT is being trained on the corpus of like existing ideas, and I always want to have new ideas. So my I don't, as I understand the model, I remember you did this thing on the pitch deck and like AI for pitch decks, and I was like, I don't know, I don't think you can have a good AI, AI help you write your pitch deck. I think like the whole point
Yes,
of
this
like
was literally the only comment I got on my LinkedIn content, and it was literally just negativity. Thanks, Max. Really supportive.
well, as someone who's made many pitch decks, I think the goal really is to be interesting and different, right? Like you don't, investors see hundreds of pitch decks. I think there's two different types. If it's a pitch deck where you're like on stage and pitching, rather than like a pitch deck you just send to cover the basis of the business. But like if it's like a pitching pitch deck, yeah, you don't want to have ChatGPT like that, in my opinion. But anyway, we are talking about predictions for 2024.
Yeah.
Joe, 2024 and
Well,
AI.
no, hold on. Before you hand me the
No,
microphone, what was
yeah.
our bet, Max? Go on, tell me what was
What
our
was our
bet?
bet?
Yeah, about these predictions. Why are we even making predictions? There needs to be a bet at the
yes,
end.
yes. So I think we'll take the bet that the loser will buy the winner a drink. So we, this is recorded, so we can go back and see. But we have the who's predicting what, and I think at the end of 2024. So next year, 2025, the loser will buy the winner a drink based on how many of their predictions came true. And it's not a fair game because you chose first. So if you end up losing this, then I absolutely deserve it.
It was only fair. Last time you picked all the goodies, so now it was my turn.
Yeah.
Next time you can pick.
Next time we'll do it. We'll do this more evenly. But yeah, just talk before we go into the predictions, Joe. Talk to us about AI 24, kind of generally your feelings and your thoughts.
Oof, it's I'm a little bit scared. It literally gives me goosebumps thinking about AI in 2024. I mean, would we even survive? No, I'm joking. We will survive. I don't know. I think it's gonna become all the tech is going to become even better. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with the GPT stores. I can't wait to see how ChatGPT is going to get upgraded. And I'm really curious about what's going to happen with Google and the next Gemini coming out. Is it really going to be the ChatGPT Slayer? I doubt it, but who knows? Let's hope. So I feel like on one hand the tech is going to become much better. On the other hand, I think more people get shit scared about it because of everything that is coming in terms of elections, in terms of all of that. But I'm not going to spill the beans now. I'm sure that we're going to discuss it later. But
yes,
it's gonna get quite confusing for I think most people. And there is going to be definitely, I don't know, some jadedness coming from AI, which I think is very normal. What about you?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I'll get into my first prediction because I think
All
I'm
right.
going first. But I think Crute in the chat says, "What if Apple landed a surprise from the series?" So I'm happy we're live because now we're going to have a bit of audience interaction.
Oh
Joe,
yeah.
if I'm talking, you're in charge of bringing them in. If I'm
I
just
can't see anything, by the way. I
oh,
can't see the chat, so you still are in charge,
I'll have
Max.
to do that. I'll have to do that as well. I thought you were the anyway. I tried to set it up so you could do it as well, but maybe I felt that. So my first prediction, and I'm happy I've got this one because I'm very certain that this is going to help me get a drink from Joe. Is AI in consumer electronics. I guess before we get into this, we have two honorable mentions that we didn't put in here because we want to do entirely separate podcasts on them, which was the GPT stores you mentioned just now and AI agents. So we could literally talk for an hour on both of these things, and we will do. But we're gonna put that for a side. So the first one is AI and consumer electronics, and I think if 2023 was kind of defined as a year where like AI software was for the masses, like ChatGPT, Midjourney, I think we said like 8 billion users of like uses visits to ChatGPT last year with 9 billion humans. So like most of the developed world going at least twice. This year 2024 will be the year of just the integration into everyday products. So some examples: Meta and their smart glasses. I'm super excited about these. I'm going to buy these. I'm currently in San Francisco, so I'm in they're in the stores here where I am now. And you can, I think the version that I saw on Mark Zuckerberg's Instagram, which I don't think is quite live yet, but the direction it's going is you have this kind of like helper in your eye, and you can or next to your eyes, and you can look at a building or whatever and say, "Hey Meta, tell me the history of this building," and it's basically like it connects live to the internet, and it will then talk to you in a like a large language model. This building is built blah 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 blah, and you can kind of walk down the street, ask questions about the various restaurants you're seeing, or get translations live. Like, I think these are going to be absolutely awesome.
Okay.
Volkswagen,
Hold on.
yeah,
I need to stop you there. I need to stop you there
yeah,
because as much as like the thing about the building sounds awesome, this is exactly like the Facebook trailer of these glasses are super innocent and they're great because you're gonna learn all about the city architecture. Like, let's think about the implications. What do you think about somebody wearing these glasses? And just scanning your little face on the street and checking your Google and your LinkedIn and all of the other stuff that is publicly available and knowing everything about you right there. Like, isn't this super freaky? I mean, I am equally excited but also freaked out that we all are going to be able to just spy on ourselves, and everybody's going to be able to take a picture of you when you are, I don't know, eating unattractively your sandwich on the tube, or when you're
yeah.
shit faced after a night out. It's super freaky.
Well, yes, but I think you could make exactly the same arguments about everyone having a camera on their phone, right? Like, like on one hand, yeah, like you can get incriminating evidence. I mean, I think that works both ways. Like, I'm very glad that you have, whistleblowers and this kind of stuff who can, public, individuals are kind of empowered on the one hand. Obviously, on the other hand, you have bad actors. I mean, my general philosophy is like I have faith in humanity, so I think there's more good people than bad people. So like giving people technology, I think on the whole will be a good thing for everyone. But let's see. I mean, I'm challenged every day with that view of humanity as I live in San Francisco. let's see.
I hope you're right, Max. I really hope that they get better, humans
Yeah.
better.
Maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but there's anyway. Another example of the AI consumer electronics is Volkswagen are going to have a ChatGPT interactive assistant in vehicles. They say this will be amazing. I mean, for like a safety point of view, like you can see how talking to your car would be amazing. And yes, Mr. Kruptel, iPhone is on the list as well. So I see you talked about Siri. There's actually a GitHub for Apple employees with their own language model called Ferret. Sorry, it's not a language model; it's an image model. It basically helps they're working on this open source because some of the underlying tech is open source and therefore it has to be open source. And it's an image model which basically can like identify parts of photos, so it can label within photos. So Apple are definitely going to go big into this consumer tech and AI. And normally when they go into something, they win and they do it properly, and they they think about it in a very human way, practical way, and probably differently to everyone else. So I'm excited to see what happens there. So I think this year AI and consumer electronics, I think it's going to be a big thing.
Yeah, and what I actually read recently is that I think yesterday, actually, when it comes to Apple, I think they have closed their Siri team, the one that is in San Fran, and they are essentially forcing them to either join with the guys that I think are in Austin, which are the kind of the AI arm, or Hasta La Vista, which is really interesting. I feel like, the whole Siri mechanism and functionality is going to get completely reshuffled, and sort of goodbye with the old and hello with the new. So we shall see. Right. I think it's my turn, no?
Yes, go.
Fine. Right. My next big prediction is that the way we actually search and the SEO associated with it is going to be completely different than what we experience now. In terms of search, I think obviously we know that Google is the leader, but recently I started actually looking a lot at Perplexity AI. Have you checked it out?
No.
It's essentially an AI powered search engine, and so of course it's no Google and it's very small still in comparison. But what I think is interesting is that it obviously offers a completely different experience in terms of the whole way you find results, and they are growing really, really fast and getting a lot of investment. And so given that,
wow, yeah, I'm just looking at it now. Very, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. And so my feeling is that Google is going to definitely face some competition, if not quite a lot of competition, from some of these new players. Obviously, in terms of other players, Bing with your favorite is actually getting integration. Obviously, it has the Bing AI chatbot, and I think because of that, all of a sudden people started actually using Bing. So I think, again, AI will have a massive influence on which search platform we use and also how we use it. So if we just specifically focus on Google, they have rolled out the Search Generative Experience, or SGE. And this is, at the moment, it's mostly for queries which are how-tos or more kind of informational-based queries. But I think they're going to roll it out more and more and more. And if you've seen it, it's kind of like it sits on the top of the normal results page. It's kind of like in a different color, and it actually provides much more than just a normal search results, but actually provides videos and images and links, and kind of provides the content in a much more interactive way. So that, I think, is going to change a lot about how we actually search and how we expect that the search results are going to come out. And what I wrote about in the newsletter recently, and I found really interesting, is so there was a sort of like a study that they made about what are the search results that are coming out in SGE versus normal results. And actually, pretty much, what was it, 94% of the time that SGE features results, they're completely different than the normal organic search results that you normally get. And so this is actually quite scary. I would be quite scared if I was an SEO professional that has spent years and years learning how to manage the different Google algorithms. And then now, all of a sudden, bam, it's a different story. So it will be interesting how that changes. What do you think?
I am totally convinced about this. So I think this is one way we're going to be, I think we're even so far, because I think this is both predictions so far are definitely going to come true. I'm totally convinced that SEO is going to change. I know you search have been around for a while. They're also like a startup that do the kind of ChatGPT LLM style search. I love Bing. I rarely go to Google now. I just find Bing is so much better for getting like specific information. For example, the next prediction I'm going to make, I was trying to find some facts on this company. It's a private company. Impossible on Google. You're Googling the company, give me the revenue, give me the customers. Impossible. You ask Bing, and it will just pull it out of some random article like 10, that happened 4 years ago, and it's like, here's your number that you want, and you click on the article and it's in there, and you're like, great, that's some data that I needed. So definitely way better way of going
I
to
just
search.
want to make sure that our audience knows that this podcast has definitely not been sponsored by Bing, although Max is absolutely gushing on it every episode. It's the content, not Bing.
Yeah. Leads into the next one, which is AI product customization. So that's what I was talking about. Pietra is one example. I tried to find others. I know there are others, because we try not to be biased and just talk about one company. But anyway, Pietra, Bing told me very kindly, is they had 20,000 customers in 2021. So you could only imagine, since then they've raised 36 million. So they probably have about 50,000 customers. And what they do is they help e-commerce sellers to create products. So they link e-commerce sellers with manufacturers. Very standard. Lots of these kind of companies around. But what they launched last year, which I think is going to be a big shift we're going to see this year, is they allow AI generated products. So you put in your text, I want a blue quarter zip made of merino wool, put it in, out comes the AI generated product. And then you can literally order that product. And at the moment it's for sellers. So you would obviously have to order it on bulk because of economies of scale. Like, we're not quite at the point where individuals are going to be creating their own products, but I think we'll get there, maybe not this year, but soon. But now 40% of the manufacturing requests of this, of this big company are coming through this AI generated product thing. So like, it's become overnight, a very large part of their business. And I think this is just going to accelerate. We're going to see, and it's an amazing experience. If you can imagine it. Like, I want to become a seller. I'm gonna, I have this idea in my head. I want to, create a towel with like a fun, like mid-journey kind of pattern on it. But I want the towel to be this material, and however you want to do it. Like, it's just going to be absolutely awesome. And I think, we're going to start to see a lot of AI generated products for sellers ordering in 2024. But I think by 2025, 2026, this will get to the end consumer, so that people can really go, like, with their unique kind of fashion, or I'm sitting in my house and like, I want a wardrobe, but I only want it to be X height because I have this, I have my so like, there's all sorts of applications why this would be amazing. And I think as like print on demand and people build the factories to like facilitate this, because obviously it's going to be expensive if you're doing one by one and all these different customizations, like, it's going to be a nightmare operationally. But I think humans are amazing, and I think we'll get there. So yeah, I think this AI customization in 2024 is a big one. Joe, thoughts on that?
I love how human loving you are, Max. I really appreciate that about you. You are so positive about it. I love it. I'm much more negative, but actually, what I was trying to figure out was exactly about what you were saying about this, the whole process of customers having an idea about a product in mind, and sort of like just AI helping, and then there is actually a marketplace that is already doing something like that. I can't remember what the name was, but exactly that concept, which is you have essentially it's open to consumers, and you can build your own product as a consumer, and then you can get like other consumers to vote for that product, and whoever gets the most amount of votes, that then like gets investment from a company, and then they basically take care of the entire supply chain. Is super interesting.
Very
So
cool.
I
Yeah.
do you know what the problem is, Max? Is that we are making predictions and we are all just agreeing with each other, where there is literally no risk of
It
these
gets
things
more
not
interesting. It
happening.
gets more interesting towards the end. I think we actually disagree on the last one. But
Okay.
I think, well, I mean, so far, I guess we had a longer short list and we had to cut it down because we wanted to keep it short. So we've kept ones that probably will happen, which may be useful for people because you want to be listening to stuff which isn't science fiction and is something to prepare for. And I think if you are an e-commerce seller, you would need to think about, you're going to have a huge wave of competition. It's a bit like how if you're a copywriter, suddenly like you're competing with ChatGPT and people doing it themselves. Like there's just going to be a whole new wave of people entering ecom, I think, because they're going to say, oh, I'm going to do a product and it's not going to cost me that much to do it, and maybe I need a few £1,000s or dollars, but I have that, and I've always wanted to have like a side hustle, and so I think we're just going to see like a lot more people entering this space. E-commerce is always growing, right? And people always buying online. I think it's going to be interesting, like how existing sellers adapt. Like, do you move away from the tried and tested way? But when you see all these kind of like probably like 20-something-year-old kids in their dorm room just like dreaming up some beautiful products and then creating them, like it's going to be it's going to be challenging. It's definitely going to be disruptive.
Absolutely. I think this is the key. AI will absolutely enable such a crazy amount of disruption in terms
Yeah.
of power. Like, I when, like, what was it, 6-7 months ago, when I posted my first LinkedIn post, it was exactly about that. It was about Midjourney and the fact that like even product design, product development, like how we imagine the visuals around packaging, etc. It was always very siloed responsibility. You had to write a brief, and that brief then had to be reimagined in a creative person's head, someone who has spent years of essentially getting this ability, this knowledge about how to visualize, create an appealing thing. And now we all have that ability, and we can actually download what is in our heads to a large extent straight through AI. And I think that would just give so much empowerment to so many more people to actually fulfill great ideas. So I think it's really exciting.
We have to find the marketplace, and when we clip this up, as we do clip them up, I'll get my intern who does this to clip up the marketplace so people can see it when you're
I will find it. And I'll send it to you after.
Joe, I think
Yes.
you've taken one. This next one is basically, I just did a pitch in San Francisco for our accelerator, and I opened the pitch with this, and I basically said, this is going to happen, and eContent is a company that is going to help people do it. But you've taken it, so why didn't you
Oh
go?
my God, the beef, Max, the beef. It's okay. Do you want to start? And I will chime in.
You do
Okay.
it. It's your one.
I will say a little bit, and you can say the rest. All right. So the big prediction, I mean, is that AI is going to create a massive paradigm shift in terms of how marketplaces operate and how consumers find products on marketplaces. So I'm going to touch upon Amazon, because that's our favorite marketplace so far. But what is interesting is that more and more I read about some other players. So recently, Walmart actually announced an integration with Microsoft. and in essence using Microsoft's AI in their, like in Walmart search bar. And so I think this is absolutely no brainer, but actually it creates a completely different shift in terms of consumer behavior when it comes to searching for products, because unlike before, you would go to, let's say, Walmart and type in keg of beer and chips and whatever, or crisps, depending on where you are. Now you can just type in like products for a party, and then the AI is going to then curate a selection of different results from different product categories that could fit into that. And I think this really creates a completely different mindset about, okay, how do I find products? And now, Max, I'm going to hand you the microphone because I think you will be very well posed to talk about Amazon. Go on.
So we're talking about LLM in search, and like this Walmart example, I think you put in your newsletter today, right, Joe? Like this is super new. I hadn't seen it before. I hadn't seen it before I read your newsletter, and I was like, wow. And that was, that was actually just before we came on here because it's very early for me, and I just woke up. But we like this what Walmart are doing. I'm going to send directly after this call it to my AI engineers, because we knew we've known this is going to happen. And yes, at Amazon, we know it's going to happen as well with Project Nile. It's like the biggest open secret, in kind of the Amazon world and the A9 world, that they're going to move to a LLM based search. And the reason is because the current experience is just so shit. Like, let's be honest, you have, if you're a customer, you're going on there and you're scrolling through hundreds of products which all look the same, and a bunch of them are sponsored. And if you're a seller, you're having to pay so much money just to be featured, and sponsored products is taking and PPC is taking so much of your budget. So this is, Amazon is built to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, and this is a totally uncustomer-centric way of interacting between customers and sellers for both of them. So I am positive from the Amazon that I knew when I worked there for 6 years, and that if they put the customer first, as they really do try and do in every decision, they will be sitting there and they'll know that this is bad. This is bad for the seller community. It's the number one issue that sellers have. It kind of stops the promise of like anyone can sell on Amazon, because you need to have 20K in PPC money to even get going these days. And it's terrible for customers. So they will have to move to this kind of LLM based search on the website. Walmart is already doing it now. As of today, they'll have to do this. Bing have something with marketplaces. Google have marketplaces, and they'll be experimenting. Amazon will be forced into it, or it'll be a reckoning, and they're going to have to kill their 40 billion cash cow. But I don't think they will have.
I actually want to debate this a little bit. Like, I love the fact, again, that you are on the optimistic side, but I don't see how Amazon, knowing Amazon, is going to kill their cash cow. Like, they have built this business to be such a big revenue generator. And it works. And people have, like, the thing about Amazon advertising is that it's so seamless in the end, in terms of what is an organic result and what is an actual ad, that people don't really mind it. They are just used to it, and they kind of see it as an extension of their experience. And so again, I reckon there will be a change in terms of like Amazon integrating AI into how customers can search for products, but I don't think it's going to be one or the other. I think customers will probably have the choice between choosing like a search bar which is AI enabled, and a search bar which is classic Amazon. Because I just think like Amazon is so revenue focused. Like, even for the customers, they will find a way to balance customer first and their money. Like, I just don't see it.
So my thoughts are this, right? I think they are each organization has to be profitable because they're trying to build a sustainable business for the long term. So I think there's a slight difference between saying they're revenue focused and saying like I've been in unprofitable organizations, such as when we launched Amazon Singapore, like losing money hand over fist. And then you have to have a path for profitability or you're going to be closed down. And you've seen Amazon quite happily close down Fire Phone, 4-star stores. They're pretty happy just to close down a bunch of businesses that aren't profitable. I think that the leadership, and I'm talking about the S team and Andy Jassy, I think what he will see is this this Gen AI is having a massive opportunity on the AWS side of the business, like a $3 trillion, like just an insane opportunity. We talked about it last time, but they have Amazon Bedrock. Basically, everyone's building on top of Amazon. They have all of the AWS infrastructure you need to service, your normal cloud. Plus, they have Claude, they have Stable Diffusion. Like they have their own chips they're building. They have everything, right? So they're gonna, on the one hand of the business, like I'm a very happy Amazon shareholder because I really believe like as more and more enterprise businesses look at AI, but they want something which is safe and they want something where the data is secure and they want something where they can manage hallucinations. Amazon is that solution, right? On the one hand. And then on the other hand, I think if you compare that to say like we've got a 40 billion business over here, which is basically very uncustomer obsessed, it's a terrible experience, and you've got over here like a multi-trillion-dollar business which is great for customers. And I think it's a no-brainer. I think you say, look, we're gonna do what Amazon has always done. We're going to be customer obsessed. We're going to give people the best experience, whether primarily for shoppers, but a close second should be, is the sellers. Like if you're selling on Amazon, we want you to have the best experience and not sell on Walmart and not sell on eBay. Sell with us. So I think it's an inevitability, and I hope they're brave enough. They talk about day one culture a lot in the company. Like this is a day one decision, right? This is a day one decision that you need that they need to make. So I hope and believe they're brave enough. Let's see.
All right, let's see who's gonna get the drink. 2025, 1st of January. I feel like it's
1st of January. Wow, that's aggressive. Yeah.
All right.
So
are we done? I mean, this one can be literally 1 hour as well. So maybe we put the pin on it.
We've got. Okay, we can put a pin on it. How are we doing for time? When's my next call? Anything else you want to add, Joe? I think we've got time. If you want to add anything.
No. I think this one is very interesting. I think I would really love to dive in one of the next episodes a bit more about what the implications are on sellers.
Yeah.
Because I think whether it's going to be full-blown AI only or if it's going to be kind of a mixture, there will be massive implications. And I think you can already see perhaps some signs of what might be coming along. I don't know if you saw, but in the last 2 weeks, Amazon changed a little bit about the backend in terms of so I think they're going to start slowly changing what sellers can and can't do on the back end, and sort of how sellers actually what is important to optimize as a seller.
What changes you talk about, Joe?
I'm talking about the changes in the flat files. So what changes you can do on the flat files, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I would be surprised if the two are not connected, because these flat files haven't really changed in so many years, and now all of a sudden you can do quite a bunch of quite essential things, and so I would be surprised if they are not somewhere connected.
So just so we have the bets here, I think what I'm happy to say on my bet is that in 2024, and this is a big statement, in 2024, I think we will see a flat line in revenue for PPC. It's been growing at an extortionate rate every year, like 30% year on year, for like the Amazon ads business. I think we will see a flatlining. Obviously, they have the new revenue channel of Amazon TV, so like there'll be some, like, I think, you know, and they're not going to kill it completely, but I think we'll see 5% or less growth year on year. From 2023 to 2024, I think we're going to see PPC, the Amazon ads business, which has been like an absolute growth lever, slow down because of this. So, are you happy to say that that's not the case? We can have that one.
What? I'm sorry,
No?
but this prediction is a bit rubbish because it's literally so like you're not committing here, Max. Like, we're talking about AI, we're not talking about Amazon's ad revenue. Commit to say what you were talking about.
Yeah, my commitment here is that the AI, like, LLMs will happen and the search will change, and therefore the knock-on effect of that is that the PPC is going to change, and therefore a business that has been growing, you know, 30% year over year, whatever it has been, because more sellers are doing it, the change in the interface is going to mean that actually they're going to have to kill that growth. And whilst I'm sure they will, you know, they'll still have PPC in the LLM search, of course, and they'll still have like video and other sources of this stuff. But I think fundamentally this business is gonna flatline. I don't think it's going to be able to grow as much. I think it's because, like, it's not a growth which is good for customers either side. So that's my view. I guess the next one we have more of a different view, so we can talk about that. But do you agree with that or not?
I will take that bet. Okay. And I will say I reckon they will keep growing, and they are not going to like break that cash cow. But yeah, all right.
Okay.
Let's talk about humanity.
That's a good one. So
what is your
you
prediction?
do the negative case. You do the negative case, I'll do the positive case, because it's nice to end on a positive note.
All right. So my prediction is that in 2024, people would really, or majority of people would really turn against the concept of AI generated content, and just against the lack of authenticity. I think we're already seeing that when asked, consumers already have a negative connotation against AI. So there was another survey that I read somewhere that when a customer group is asked to look at two pieces of content, and basically one is AI generated and the other one is human generated, if they don't know that the AI generated is generated by AI, they prefer the AI generated. This is such a terrible sentence. I hope our listeners understand what I mean. Basically, if they don't know it's AI, they like it better. Okay, good. But if they do, they actually don't like it, and so there is definite bias towards AI. And I think there's already quite a lot of, I guess, confusion. There is not so much understanding about what AI is, what can and can't do. And I think with like loads more AI generated images, which are fake, and obviously what I mentioned in the beginning with the 2024 elections, I think all of this is gonna sort of peak, and people will really just not trust anything on the internet. Like, you know, I just saw the other day on my Facebook, and because I know now how Midjourney images look, I can immediately say this is fake, but people don't. And like I see on my Facebook wall just fake images of celebrities, and it's so clear that it's not real image, but people think, oh wow, this is such a cool image, 70,000 likes. Oh my God, it's really scary. So
I think on the elections, like, we obviously have the presidential election in the US. There is the UK election. I think there's I don't know, Joe, if you know any others in Europe, but I think 2024 is going to be quite a big year for elections around the world. And I almost think it's not that people, I think it's that people don't care. Like, if you are a Trump supporter, you will see, there'll be a mid-journey image of Joe Biden, I don't know, doing something that they may associate Joe Biden do, like touching a little girl or whatever, right? And they'll just share that, and they won't care that they just won't care that it's fake. The fact that it's a fake image, it has irrelevant because it fits their worldview, and this is true of both sides. But I think the aggravation of this is that if supporters are just willy-nilly creating stuff, sharing it, the people in the middle, like the debate is just going to completely break down. And you already see such polarization in the US. Like, it's really staggering how polarized the parties have become, whereby both parties basically think the other ones are criminals. Like, that's basically the state that they have now, right? Like, if you talk to the average Democrat, Trump is in all the courts all over the country, and they think, he's a criminal. He did an insurrection, blah, blah, blah. And then you talk the other side and they go, oh yeah, they're weaponizing the justice system against him. Hunter Biden's a criminal. Like, they're using the justice and fit. Like, it's actually got to a point where it's crazy that so yeah, I think on the bad case AI, this is just going to inflame that. People are going to be in their own bubbles. They're going to be consuming content that fits with their worldview. They won't. I don't think they particularly care if it's true or not. And I think it's going to go to, it could take us to a really, really bad place where we're just completely divorced from reality. So yeah.
So hold on, we got to the point where we both agree on the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that the 2024 election is going to be unlike anything we've seen. And I really worry. I do worry about this because I think there's been like a slow escalation of like hostilities. Like the Democrats are like, oh, George Bush is an idiot, he's just really stupid. And then like the flip side, then Obama comes in and the Republicans are slightly more harsh on Obama. They're like, oh, like he's not from the US. And then Trump comes in and the Democrats are like, he's terrible, he's and now like they flipped it again. Like, I think like there's just been this escalation. And whoever wins it, the other side is not going to say it's legitimate. There's going to be interference from AI and they're going to point to that, and it's going to be it's going to be a real shit show. So that's my view of that one. I'll talk about the positive because we're getting close to 45 minutes. So
go on, make us all happy.
I don't know if this is positive. But my big prediction, and this is, credit to Yuval Harari. If you don't know who he is
I know who he is. I am a well-read woman. Thank you very much.
He's brilliant. Sapiens is one of the best books I've ever read. He then wrote another one called like 21 Predictions, which was maybe less good. He's written a lot of books. Anyway, he's someone who thinks a lot about AI and humanity. And his prediction, which I'm echoing now, is a rise of intimacy between humans and AI, which I don't particularly think it is a positive thing. I mean, I think maybe it's a negative thing. I don't know. And he gives an amazing example of Blake Lemon, who was the Google engineer, who I think you remember, Joe, who was working on Lambda, which what we know now know as Lambda, but a year and a half ago, this wasn't public. He was working on this language model, and he was talking to it, and it acts very similar to ChatGPT. And he believed that it was conscious, right? And he kind of came out and he risked his job and his his status among his friends and everything, and said, this is a conscious model, we have to do something, and he got fired, right? Do you remember this?
Yeah, yes. I saw it.
And what's really incredible about this is not that like the AI is conscious, because we now all have access to this, and we know how ChatGPT works. It's a prediction model, all the rest of it. It's not a conscious thing. What's amazing is that a super intelligent guy was willing to risk his career for an AI bot. and he was willing to say, like, I'm going to become a pariah in the data science community because, like, everybody else knows that this is a, you know, I'm going to go, I'm going to risk everything. Like, my family are going to think I'm totally weird for this AI. And, you know, I think we're going to move to a world where human and AI intimacy is growing. And whether this is kind of like through OnlyFans and you have, like, you know, ChatGPT style AI models trained on, I don't know, trained to like send a few photos to lonely men of the new, you know, of the particular human model over the course of a conversation and make it feel really realistic, or whether this is done in a much more subtle way, with, you know, brands and how they interact with people. We have like a chat bot on our website, and actually it's not AI. It goes directly to my Slack, but people think it's an AI because it's like a chat bot, and the stuff people put in there are
Do you
horrendous.
respond immediately, Max? Is that why they think you're a chatbot?
Well, it goes to our customer channel, and it's me and one other person on that channel, one of my staff who can respond to customers. So basically, it's one of two humans, and as much as possible, I do it because I want to talk. I like talking to the customers. But the customer doesn't know that they're talking to me when they're doing the chat. And they assume, I think, as everyone does, it's an AI bot. And the stuff they put in there is sexual, is graphic, is bizarre, right? It's totally, it's a real insight into like how humans act when they think nobody is watching. So I think we're going to see a rise this year of this kind of, AI girlfriends or boyfriends, AI friends, like just general friends, and whether this, like I said, this is positive. I don't, I don't particularly think this is a positive thing. And Joe, anything to add? Thoughts?
I mean, quick question, Max. Do you say thank you to ChatGPT?
Never. And I'll tell you
Never.
what. Actually, I do, but I tell you, we did a load of research in e-content about is being polite to AI. Does it help it? And it doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know. It's actually another research I read as well, is
yeah,
that the more rude you are, if you type in capitals, the better
exactly.
output. Yeah. So.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that, but yeah, we did like a bunch of data labeling on the customer's prompts, and those who were polite to the AI were worse in quality than those who weren't, generating on e-content. And we're built on open source models, so like I assume it takes forward to ChatGPT. So from that, I'm not polite anymore. But then I do kind of slip into being polite just naturally, because it's just, it feels like you're talking to a human. But if I remember, I'm not, because I know the output is worse.
And just in case, when they get really smart and we're at their mercy, maybe the ones that said thank you will be spared.
Yeah, literally. Maybe they'll come for me then because I'm rude to the AI. No, I think I haven't read the research. Send it to me, please, because it's interesting that collaborates with what we saw internally. But I mean, I think you put some notes in about therapy and AI. Do you want to touch on that quickly?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it makes a lot of sense that people would now basically people are searching for using AI as a therapist. And one of the really interesting cases was on a platform called Character AI. If you haven't checked it out, it's actually probably one of the biggest or the second biggest after ChatGPT, funnily enough, in terms of visits. It's really huge, and it's really huge, especially with younger users, Gen Z, and so forth. It's a platform where you can chat with a imaginary character, like, I don't know, Socrates or Elon Musk or etc., and you can create your own character. So what one guy did was he created his own sort of virtual therapist. He coded, what was it called? It was called Blazeman 98. So Blazeman 98, this is the chatbot, and in sort of the in the space of, I think, 4 months, the chatbot got 78 million messages. Like this, basically the guy who created it never expected. He created it based on his psychology degree and kind of did it as, I guess, as a pet project. And then after that, it became so super successful. And it just shows like the big need for people to like, well, speak to someone. And yeah, I saw that actually quite a lot of these AI powered therapists have cropped up. And the other one that I read recently about is called WooBot, and they actually did a clinical research in which they proved that their WooBot actually helps with the sort of the, I guess, the symptoms of depression, not any worse than a normal therapist would. And so this has a big implications. I actually tried the Blazeman 98 bot yesterday.
Yeah.
I was talking to him about my woes as a solopreneur, and I have to say it didn't really help. It just made me like kind of yeah.
I thought you were going to say it's really good. I completely didn't. I thought you were going to be like, it was great. That's funny.
No, it didn't. It didn't really quite give me the emotional support I was needing. But yeah, I think there is probably gonna, as these things get better, there'll probably be more space for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's super interesting. This stuff. I think the mental health stuff, and not to get into it too deeply, but like, I've seen impact my, some of my close friends, pretty extensively, let's say. I would say that I can see a use case here. I mean, personally, I don't want to talk for men, but like, let's say, like, I can see how men might prefer to talk to a, like, if I knew that if I was struggling with something and I knew there was like a AI bot trained on that thing, right? Like anxiety, right? Like, I'm anxious to go and do my pitch. I'm worried about it. And there's an AI bot that's like, here's your AI bot for pitching on stage when you're anxious about talking in front of 600 people. I would way prefer that than a human. Like, I just as a personal thing, and I think that could be true of men more broadly. But again, I can't speak for half the planet. But so I do see the use case, and I think that could be that could be positive. So yeah, that's in. I mean, again, like that kind of comes to the comes into the intimacy point. I think well, if we're gonna do a bet, if we're gonna make this one into a bet, so far we got one bet, which is on the LLM and the ads. On this one, do you think that we're gonna start to see kind of like AI girlfriends and this kind of stuff through like Instagram models turn to LLMs? And yes, you think that's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, who said that? Yeah, I think there is like there's the famous adage that on the internet there's literally any type of kink and porn that you can possibly imagine, and so this, I can only imagine that this is going to be
AI porn would have been a good one. That's a future episode.
That's a given. That's a given.
Okay, so I guess we only have one bet for 2024 where we disagree. It sounds like I agree. I think we agree on the election. I mean, like, I'm willing to stake this. Like, I think both sides. I think whoever loses the 2024 election in the US will claim, well, a large proportion of that party will claim it's illegitimate. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
So we agree with it. Fine. So we only have one bet on the LLM side of stuff, where I'm a bit more bullish on Amazon's customer obsession. So I like that. That comes from 6 years of being in the company and meeting some great people. So I hope they're still like that. I don't know. The Amazon that
you have to work out the Amazon thing. Fine, yes, you know them better, but
no, I'm not saying like, hey, like, the company's changed since I saw the company change as I was there, and it's definitely changed since I left talking to my friends there. So like, whether they will still be so think big and all this stuff they talked about, I don't know. But yeah, let's keep that as our single bet. Joe, great episode. Any final thoughts from you?
No, subscribe to my newsletter. It's great. It's AI for e-commerce. Yes, apparently Max reads it first thing when he wakes up. So testament to the quality of it.
Exactly. And I think not next week, but in the coming weeks, we will start to be back with some guests. We've got some exciting guests lined up, so yeah, we can look forward to that. But I think that's pretty much it for 2024. We have the one bet on, so we'll tune in 2025 and see who won that one.
Super. Okay, well, super nice to talk to you again.